Across the world, millions of coronavirus vaccine doses are being administered, and the number of COVID-19 vaccinations given out in the U.S. is just slightly trailing the total number of confirmed cases.
That's according to estimates from Johns Hopkins University. So as of this afternoon, 26.6 million cases have been reported in the United States since the start of the pandemic. 26.2 million doses of the vaccine have been administered. Administered doses do not necessarily reflect the number of people vaccinated, since some people have already gotten 2 doses and others have not.
Here's how Georgia stacks up against other states. We still remain in the middle of the pack, with around 7 to 9% of our population having received at least 1 dose. Only a handful of states and D.C. have been able to vaccinate more than 9%.